So that's going. It says we're live, so I think we are. Let's double check. I still don't have a hang up button, so I think we're good, guys. Everybody out there on the YouTube side, can you see us? Can you hear us? It said we went live. I think we're good to go. Yeah, I can hear myself on my other window there. We're good. All right. Welcome, everybody, to the Get Off My Lawn podcast. It's Tuesday night. It's 9 o'clock, and it's time to get our grumpy on. We got a couple things here that we've got to go over before we get really down into it. And I just lost my notes. Where'd that go to? Okay. And where'd they go to? All right, that's what happens. We go live. I lose all of my stuff. Can't find anything.
Are we blaming Night Strike or what? I think it was Night Strike's fault.
It's just like being on a show on Friday night.
We can blame it on Night Strike. It's probably the drones just messing with my.
Yeah, what was up with the drones? I didn't get a chance because I have to hang out with Sugar Mama.
Well, here's the best part about that. You can actually subscribe to Travis's B channel and go watch that chat anytime you want to. So as soon as this show is over, you're welcome to go do that.
Yeah, I'll go put it. I'm gonna just sell out and put a link to that B channel on your chat. That's cool. So
all right. Well, real quick here, we will let everybody on our panel introduce themselves. Although most of these hoodlums need no introduction, so we call it Grumpy Old Man and Women because we don't want to exclude anybody. But we have no ladies on our panel. Of course, my beautiful bride is off to my left here, off of the camera because she likes to do the typing while I do the talking. She doesn't want. I don't know why. She's so much better looking than I am, but she doesn't want on the camera. So I'm sorry, you're stuck with me. That's just the way it's going to be. So I don't know if you can talk. We know how this works. You're not available for about another 30 minutes, but Squib, if you've got some time and you want to say hello.
Yeah, I'm moving away from the noisy machines and moving over towards the drone control area.
There you go.
Hello. Thanks for the invite.
That would make sense. It's Squib's behind all of it. I get it now.
No, it's not that he's behind it. He works for Dr. Doom. Now we know the truth.
Oh, that could be it. That could very well be it. All right. Next up, we've got somebody that's becoming a regular here on our live chats. Duke Liberty's in the house.
Hey, thanks for the invite. Really appreciate it. Go check out Duke Liberty on YouTube there. And I got a couple videos out and appreciate the invite as always. Thank you, sir.
Yeah, it's awesome to have you. All right. Next up, we've got that other cool Nebraskan that is down there getting spied on by all the drones, Travis P11.
I don't know if I should be saying anything right now because it's probably being recorded by the drones flying overhead my house right now. But anyway, guys, make sure you subscribe to everybody here on the panel. They got great channels, great content. Make sure you guys support guntube.org and check out my YouTube channel, Travis P11. Good stuff, man. Lots of fun content out there. Thanks for the invite, man.
Yeah. And it sounds like in the future, Travis actually will be coming to us live from a corner. So it'll be actually known as the Caliber Corner.
Yes, I'm being put in a corner after the move. I'm going to have literally a corner with one caliber, and that's all I'm going to have room for. So
nobody puts the Travi in a corner.
Just my wife.
Well, people don't get to know about the drones. That was a different chat. Yeah. Go to the drone chat. We'll talk about it on a different chat. We did talk about it on a different chat. So people can go to Travis's B channel, which is what, Travis?
It's my name, Travis, Travis, space Patocka, Patuchka.
And there is Oh, you're Irish. I get it
for you, man. Check it out. It's like coffee reviews, technology. I'm going to be putting some old school tech on there, like an old boombox, and I'm going to put I got a shortwave radio that I used to use as a kid that I got it in 1989. I still have it. And I recently got it out of the closet, dusted it off, and I want to show that off on the channel. What it was. That was my internet before there was internet. That was my link to the world before we had Google. So
that's so awesome.
Are you going to be doing any breakdancing in that video?
I can't play any music during the video. That's the only problem. Is I'd be getting a copyright strike. So no, I will not
No
be breaking.
breaking.
I was an extra on Breaking 2 Electric Boogaloo. You can find me in the last 5 minutes out in the crowd. I'm just off to the right. I've got a headband on and a half shirt. So that was my premiere as a child. I was 3 when that movie came out. So yeah,
Very cool.
Breaking 2.
All right.
That's right. I'm live.
Next up from This Week Unloaded, we have got Rich White.
Hi, everybody. and if you're wondering what the Doctor Doom reference is, that's my take on what's going on with the drones. It's Doctor Doom's fault.
That's right. All these teasers. You have to go check that out when this chat's over. Next up,
Eventually, in 20 years, we're going to have one big Doctor Doom head, just virtual reality coming from off all these drones, and you're going to see it from the northern country as he takes over.
well, I don't know if we ever actually send people to a space station that gets bombarded with cosmic rays. Maybe we'll have a team of people that can fight with him. But until then, we're just going to put up with the drones. So it's just all there is to it. All right. Next up, we've got somebody who I think you've been on our chat maybe once or twice, but it's been a long time because normally work schedules don't allow this fella to come on our live chats with us. So welcome to Budget Guns and Gear Reviews.
Hey, thanks for the invitation. I appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks for joining us. Moving up my list, I've got Orange Man Grumpy tonight. Obnoxious ones in the house.
What do you want?
Nothing.
Are we ready to go yet?
Get off my lawn.
Are we done with these intros so we can start getting into the real meat of this thing, or are we just going to keep going on?
And the sad thing is he's not even playing a part. This is just how grumpy he normally is. All right. And last but not least, our favorite grumpy old rooster, the probably the biggest Kansas City Chiefs fan, not pound for pound, but just as far as love for the team that I know, Gizzard Gary.
How about them Chiefs?
Dude, I'm so proud of the great state of Kansas.
I know they represent the state of Kansas so well.
They do.
Yeah. I tell you what, we're proud of our flagship city, Kansas City. Yeah, the whole state is proud.
It's funny because people blasted Trump for that, but I don't know any Kansans that are not Chiefs fans. So unless they're from the west end of the state and maybe they're Broncos fans, but there's not that many of those, I don't think.
Yeah, I think if you took a poll of everybody who's filling up them seats, I'll bet you there's more Kansans in there than there are people from Missouri. But that's just me.
You know what? I'm going to make an uneducated guess. The majority of the people out there that really don't watch football or maybe only watch the Super Bowl probably think that the Chiefs are located in Kansas City, Kansas, and not Missouri. So I'm just going to say. I mean, I can just see that. I feel that. I don't know why, but yeah.
There's a reason why they call us flyover.
Yeah, I have ran into that.
Mm-hmm. They call us flyover country.
They could always,
Yeah, I guarantee you that
they could build a new stadium out there on our side of the city, over by the Legends, over by our Nebraska Furniture Mart, which is also in Kansas, by the way.
But as far as people not realizing what states Kansas City Chiefs play in, yeah, if you look at like comments on Fox News where they were reporting that the Chiefs won, yeah, there's quite a lot of people that don't realize that the Chiefs actually play in Missouri. So yeah.
Yeah, that's just normal. I mean, it's just one of those things that there's a lot of people that aren't the president that didn't realize that either. So, whatever. It is just going to be one more thing that people make fun of him for. So when you're the president, you just have to expect that everything you say, somebody's going to either take offense or make fun of you. So part of the job, I believe.
Court of law.
Yeah, if you knew where the stadium was, of course you'd have to be familiar to the area, but it's way out on the eastern boundaries of Kansas City, and they had to annex it because technically it was in an unincorporated part of Jackson County, closer to Independence, Missouri than it ever was Kansas City. But they annexed it so it could totally be called Kansas City.
Well, that's
there
not
you
the
go.
first time he's got the cities mixed up. When there was that mass murder in Dayton, Ohio, he said, "We're praying for the people in Toledo." And it's like, oh my goodness, dude, check a map, would you?
Well, he wanted to
Well,
put the
in
wall between
fairness,
Kansas and Colorado too.
have you
so.
spent much time in Toledo? From what I hear, those people need prayers too. So
Yeah.
those of you that are in the Toledo area, the views and opinions expressed on this channel are those of the person saying them, not necessarily of anybody else in the panel.
Yeah, and to think, Michigan and Ohio almost went to war over Toledo.
Yeah, wow. Well, there you go. Well, I've
Personally, I
heard
think
from what I hear that the steel that's made in Toledo is very, very good for swords. So,
that's the wrong Toledo.
Oh.
That's Spain.
so I see that's the thing. You get stuff mixed up, and that's what happens.
Personally,
All
I
right.
think they were fighting over who had to keep Toledo.
Well, there you go.
Michigan was like,
That's
no, we don't want
precisely
you
it.
to keep it.
Loser
No,
had to
Ohio was like,
keep
no, you keep it.
All right, a couple things I want to get to before we get into answering some questions here. First off, I want to thank everybody who's out there on YouTube watching this. Calaveras was first. My beautiful bride was out there. Justin Gibbons, who always likes and laughs at my stuff that I post on Facebook. Justin, it's good to see you. Guitar Man Pete's out there. Who else is out there lighting it up in the chat? We've got a few more people. Rich White's doing double duty. Jay Brown's out there. Obnoxious says he was first because he can't count. 10X Shooters. Mr. Pearl Necklaces. New York Outcast. What's up, Rob? Mike is in the house. George Washington is in the house, our founding father. Who am I missing? Travis is out there and in here. Gun Snob is out there, and that might be, and Duke Liberty's out there too. Grim90 is watching me. He's got eyeballs out there. So if you're watching on the YouTube side, and well, it's the only place you can watch right now, but if you're out there watching live and you're not making comments, then we don't get to say hi to you and thank you for watching. So you need to make those comments so we know that you're there and that we can put you on the list so that we give you credit for showing up tonight when we wrap things up. Two things I want to talk about real quick. First off, I don't have a lot of details yet because we haven't had the planning meeting yet, but there is going to be some sort of 2A rally planned for Nebraska. I don't know exactly when it's going to be coming in the future. We're going to get together, some of us, on Saturday and talk about that. So if you need any details or if you wanted to be in on that, you saw it posted on social media, you can reach out to anybody that has posted or reposted it, including myself, if you need details on the meeting. But it's not going to be a super, super big deal as far as just getting some people together to organize it. The thing is with the planning meetings, the more people that we have at the meeting with ideas and opinions, the longer it takes to come up with the plan. I think we've all heard the expression that too many cooks will spoil the broth. And so the meeting isn't going to be a big deal. The rally, we'd love to have 22,000 plus people there. I don't think that that's probably going to happen. The urgency isn't in Lincoln the way it was in Richmond, but at the same time, hopefully we'll be able to get this scheduled far enough out that people can plan around it and show up at a big rally in Nebraska. It's going to be awesome. So stay tuned for those details. Also, I'm always lax about mentioning this, but if anybody likes what they see and hear on the channel here, especially the live chats, and wants to help support it, you're sure welcome to go check us out on Patreon. I don't like asking people just to go give us money. But one thing I do want to mention is the Patreon money gets saved back in a special account, and it goes to buy things like gimbal rigs and stuff like this that actually get used here on the channel, on the live chats, and on the produced videos. That doesn't go into our pockets. It doesn't pay bills. Sometimes it would be nice, but when people support the channel, I expect that that money will, or they expect that money will go to keeping this going. So that's where that goes, and we do appreciate all of our Patreon supporters. So that being said, we're going to have a little fun. I've got some questions here that are serious. I've got some questions here that are kind of funny. And and I don't think we'll probably get to all of them. But when here's what happened, and I put this in a video here a while ago telling people this was coming. But a while back, I saw a picture from some county fair somewhere. I don't know where. I don't even know how long ago it's been. But at one of these county fairs, there was a tent set up with a sign outside that said free advice. There were a bunch of just old fellas sitting in there. And if you needed advice, you could go in there and get advice from somebody that, has got some gray in their hair and a little more experience at life maybe than you did. So I immediately thought about one of those older Jeff Dunham comedy specials. The guy with all the dolls that he travels with. He's got his friend Walter, cranky, grumpy old man. He a lot of the times in his shows, and I don't know if he still does, but in the early specials, he would have people write questions, put them on cards. They'd pick some of the best ones, and then Jeff would ask the questions to Walter, and Walter would impart his own grumpy wisdom for the answers. So when I saw that tent, I thought, oh, it's just like what they do with Walter. So that's kind of the image I've had in my mind when we're given these answers. They can be serious, they can be funny, they can be both. But the thing is that I kind of want this to be a regular fixture on the podcast. Maybe once a month, we'll just get together and people will have all month moving forward to submit questions, and we will. If we get too many good ones, then we'll just start drawing. I don't have enough to just draw everything right out of a hat tonight, but we can start doing that, or we'll cherry pick the best ones. We'll see what happens as we move forward. But right now, I've got a couple of them. The first question, and you know what? This isn't going to go around the horn because that's going to take too long. We'll try not to walk on each other, but this is just going to be a free-for-all. Every question is up for grabs for every person that wants to answer it. So the first question that we have is, I won't name names here. What are your thoughts on Bloomberg just needing to get laid?
Can he? I mean, I guess that's the big question.
Are you insane? Are you
Is there anybody
for as
willing?
much money as he has?
He would need a step stool.
As much money as that guy has, he could get laid.
No, I mean the layers of shrink wrap would have to. I'm just saying.
I might take one for the team for that kind of cash.
Whoa! Now, if that happens, you're going to have a little more influence. I mean, you can't just take one for the team budget. You've got to be able to actually get him to stop throwing money
to get him to remember your name, dude.
Not only that, but make it good enough that he'll listen when you tell him to knock it off with the anti-gun crap.
Stop it. Just stop it.
Yeah.
That might get you on Matt's bracket next week. I don't know.
Hey, whatever it is, I'm good at what I do.
All right. Glad I checked the box earlier tonight that said, no, it's not made for kids. Because who knows what's going to happen
that's
tonight.
A legit question, though.
The usual rules. Here's what's going to happen. This may not be the most family-friendly chat tonight. The usual rules apply. We're not going to drop F-bombs, but we might just loosen the strings up a little bit here because that's what grumpy old men are known for, right? Saying things and getting away with it when somebody else maybe couldn't. So,
well, we used to be able to. Now we get lawsuits slapped on us. I mean,
well, that's true. That's true.
God.
Okay, next question. This is a gun question. I didn't want all of the things to be guns or politics related, but this is, I think, a good one. Just to throw it out there because it'll be a fun discussion here. What kind of guns would Attila the Hun choose as his primary weapon and his sidearm? If Attila were alive today, what gun would he carry for a primary weapon and a sidearm?
Yet, rifle is fine.
There were two of you talking. What was that, Rich?
I said an AK and a Tokarev. He was Slavic.
That's true.
Yet, rifle is fine.
No sidearm?
I said Tokarev.
No sidearm.
Okay.
You're kidding me. What do you
take a Tokarev?
Sidearm for Attila.
We'll take the Tokarev in 7.62 by 25 because the Makarov will be too deep.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree.
We'll go with that. Okay. Here's another one. This actually is probably going to kick off a little bit of discussion here, and I kind of hope it does. This is another one from the Facebook social media there. And it says, here's one that could ruffle some feathers. Do you think people doing 2A audits with their guns exposed, both large like an AR or AK, and small such as open carry handguns, are doing the movement some good? Or are they just feeding the anti-gun lobbyist fears and giving them fuel for their agenda?
I don't care for any kind of amendment audit. Period. I think you're just if you're going out there, if you're somebody, if we're having a rally or something and somebody's showing up, then yeah. If you can carry, then carry. But if you're going out there to do a First Amendment audit or a Second Amendment audit, you're just going out there to stir up trouble, and then you're gonna, act shocked when it happens, when you actually get the trouble.
So could you enlighten me?
Go ahead.
I have never heard anybody use the term Second Amendment audit. I'm guessing you're testing the waters to see if they honor your constitutional rights.
Yeah, Second Amendment audit is something like what Solo Yacker down in Florida does on a regular basis.
Understood.
They're going someplace with a specific intention.
Just to see if they'll get hassled by the cops so that they can turn around and say, you can't hassle me, and then be all butthurt when there's a cop pointing a gun at them, telling them to get on the ground. And they film the whole thing so that they can post it on their channel. It's just a gotcha.
The jackass in, was it Missouri, that went into the Walmart right after the shooting? Yeah, that was a Second Amendment audit.
Okay, gotcha. Yeah, I'm not down with those. Those make the community. For all the people who say, if it's legal to open carry in your state and you go to a rally open carry and you make us all look bad, I disagree. But if you're going over there and trying to create some sort of an issue, I guess this audit thing, that doesn't make it. There's a big difference between the two. One is exercising your rights peacefully, and the other one is exercising your rights, I guess, distastefully or in a way that you're creating a bit of problem.
In my line of work, we call that attention-seeking behavior.
Yeah,
but
exactly what it would be.
Isn't it sad we don't live in a society where you can go out and open carry your rifles and pistols and handguns and people don't flip out and call the police? It's sad we don't have that type of society or that kind of society anymore where a person could do that and not.
It's not about that so much as how you deal with the situation. When you're purposely trying to get footage to put on YouTube or you're purposely harassing the police, and don't get me wrong, the police should know the law. They should. When they don't, there should be some sort of repercussions for that. However, there's a way you can try to work with law enforcement and get them to respect your rights, but also let the public know, hey, they're not doing anything. No, actually, this is legal to do, as opposed to trying to create that division, right? We're always talking about the whole them versus us thin blue line thing. Well, that makes that even more so when on our side we're trying to create a them versus us. So both sides shouldn't be trying to do that. Both sides should be trying to find a way to work together. I was actually upset one time when I got pulled over by a cop and I let her know there was a gun in the vehicle and she didn't want to see it because I wanted to show it off. So I'm just saying.
Yeah, exactly.
No, I'm going to disagree. I think it's totally necessary. I think it's a part of what we're going to do to inflict change and to educate a certain part of the population to understand why it's important to have those rights. I get that sometimes some people take it too far, but I think a majority of the time it does its purpose and it educates a lot of people.
So you're going to be those two guys that walked into the downriver. You're going to be those two guys who walked into that downriver police department wearing body armor masks with AKs at the low ready?
Nope, never said that. I just said
that's what a Second Amendment audit is.
Okay, that's what a Second Amendment audit is.
Yep, and I said some people take it too far. And those are ridiculous. But there's a time and place for it.
Just to clarify, Duke.
Support it.
Just to clarify, Duke, are you saying that there's a time and a place for the actual audit part where people intentionally go out there and see if the cops will hassle them? Or are you just talking about open carrying or slinging your AR or AK where legal going about your business like nobody else, should care, and then just to raise awareness that way, to see who comes up to you and talk to you? Or are you actually talking about to see if the cops will pull their gun and hold you, and you can tell them, look, I'm not breaking any laws, so that you can record it?
Correct. There's a difference between trying to be educational and trying to show people that this is legal, and then there's the knuckleheads who walk into a police station dressed like
Right, that's
Chechen
what we're
rebels.
saying. Going
That's-
to a
So
2A
I
rally
get
where you
that.
can open
That's,
carry is
I get
educational.
that.
Yeah.
Okay, but there's still
So-
nothing wrong. Go ahead.
I was just gonna say, it sounds like you're saying that the taking it too far part is the actual audit issue. It's no, and I don't think anybody on the panel, I'll speak for, I think, everybody. I don't think anybody that's spoken up tonight says that they have an issue with just going out and open carrying at times, because you can, because that's legal, and people shouldn't hassle you. That's one thing. That's fine. But I think we're all saying, and Duke, you might be saying the same thing here, that when people do it intentionally to stir up crap, that so that the cops get called, and that guns get drawn, and they tell you to get down on your face on the ground so you can record this happening, you're saying that's the too far, right? That's over the line. Or are you not saying that? I'm clarifying.
I'm not saying all of that.
Okay.
There are times where I think that testing the limits respectfully and safely is a good thing. I understand that there have been times that it's been taken way too far. Walking into a Walmart days after a shooting is ridiculous. Walking into a police station dressed as with full body armor with ARs, that's too extreme. But I think that there are many times where this can be an effective way to invoke a conversation, to change under people's understanding, and I think it can be effective. So yes, I get that there's far strings on both sides, but I do think it's effective done right.
All right, there you go. All right, anybody else have anything that they want to mention on the audits before we move on?
Yeah, Duke, at some point, might you be posting a video on your channel explaining your position in a little bit more detail? I'd be curious to hear that.
Sure will.
That would be great. I think that's a good opportunity to use the platform for what we do best with it, right?
Yeah, it's a great idea. It's a great way to invoke a conversation, like you said.
Thank you very much.
Anything that starts people thinking and starts people talking without actually jeopardizing your health or your well-being, I'm all for that. I don't think I want to try a 2A audit just because I understand that accidents can happen, that negligent discharges can happen. I know that police officers are trained how to not accidentally shoot you if they're covering you with their firearm. However, I don't want them pointing their firearm at me for any reason whatsoever at all. That's just my opinion. Everybody else doesn't have to have the same
I'm not asking him to
one.
go out there and create an audit. No. Maybe just describe maybe a few examples of the difference between what's acceptable and what's not acceptable on his opinion. I'm interested to hear this.
Yeah, nope, that's...
just putting some scenarios out there going, this is too far, this is not too far, this is too far, this is not too, something like that.
Heck yeah. All right, well, sounds like we've got homework now, Duke. Or you've got homework.
That's right.
You've got a request. You've got a video request now. All right.
And Pop-Tart video.
And the Pop-Tart video. Okay, I got to do that one yet, too. I'll probably say that for a few more weeks yet before I actually sit down and do one. Okay, next question for everybody. I am a 32-year-old man in a thriving job, a beautiful wife and a son, but I've always wanted to be a teacher. I just fear that I've missed my opportunity to go to school for that, and I need to focus on my current job and family life. Just looking for some advice.
It's never too late. I had two teachers when I was in high school that were both lawyers. One became a civics teacher. The other became a science teacher. Just because you're in a job now doesn't mean you can't take classes at night, get your degree, and then go on to become a teacher later on. That's one job where your physical abilities, as you get older and your physical abilities deteriorate, your teaching ability isn't going to. So it's never too late to become a teacher. You can always go ahead and do that.
You're never too old to chase your dreams. And
Amen.
if you're too old to chase your dreams, maybe you need to have some like slower paced dreams. But I mean, I was 47 before I became a YouTube star. So, I mean,
Yeah.
just putting that out there. You can go chase your dream at any time.
Wow.
You know, something
Yeah.
I want to say real quick too. I mean, I was 24 when I started, didn't get married until I was in my 30s. But I'm just saying that the nice thing about starting a little bit later on, you've already got past the stress of having the kid, the wedding, being settled. Those are a lot of the reasons why people leave the field or move off with a significant other that I've seen just being in the field for almost 20 years. So, I mean, the later you start, I almost think the better it is because you've just got so much more life experience. You're much more mature. You're not 21 or 22 right out of college. And, you know, I don't know. I just think the later you could start teaching, I wish people would spend a little more time student teaching before they became teachers. Like maybe start that program right away, their freshman year, not the last 2 semesters of their college experience. Just that's how Nebraska runs it. So I just think, I think if you started later on in life, you might find it to be. I think it would be an easier transition for somebody to go into teaching that's not a teacher right now.
And I will say this much too. I actually never finished college. But I've always said if I ever figure out what I want to be when I grow up, then I'll go back to school. Until then, I'm not going to spend that money to do it because I don't know why I would be going back. If I ever figured that out, then I'll put a plan in place. And I guess I can't say that I 100% intend to go back to school, but I think that it's probably going to happen one day. I've just got to figure out what to go to school for. Now, working against me is the fact that I don't intend to ever grow up, but at the same time, I've been doing the same thing now for next month will be 10 years. So, I mean, I've had this job a long time. I'm good at what I do. If I ever make a change, it's going to have to be worth, it's going to have to be worth it in the end. I need to get the return on that investment. So I don't know for sure what I want to do, but if you know what you want to do, I think you owe it to yourself. You owe it to yourself to go and make that happen, or at least move forward on it and see if you can make it happen. Whoever this is said they have a wife and kids, so I think you owe it to your family as an example to show them that just because you started down one road doesn't mean that you have to stay on that road your whole life either. That's the best part about living in this country is you don't have to die the same. Whatever you are when you're born, that doesn't mean that's what you will be when you die. And we've seen that time and time again. You have potential to do anything you want to do if you can figure out a way to make it happen. So there's nobody in this country saying that you can't do this or you can't do that. We hear a lot of whining to the contrary, but the truth is, if you can figure out a way to make it happen, you can make it happen. We've seen it time and again. The only question is, are you willing to put in what it takes to make it happen? And
something to consider is that there may not be enough time in life for you to do everything you wanted to do, and some things are restricted by your age or physical condition or something like that. Since this isn't something that has those stipulations, if you don't at least try and give it your best effort, then for the rest of your life you'll always wonder, could I have done it? You always wonder, wonder what kind of a teacher I would have been. So while it's still available to you, while you still have the time, and while it's still something that interests you, I'd explore it. I'd go for it, because sometimes you do look back and you go, well, I can't do that anymore. They don't hire guys my age. So just give it a shot, because regret kind of sucks. Now, if you're tied up with all kinds of stuff and there's no way to make this happen without it being detrimental to your family, then don't worry about it, because your family is your most important hope and dream. But if you can integrate it in there, then I say do it.
All right. Anybody else have anything they want to mention on that topic before we move along? All right. Few of these are going to be back to more gun related or things like that. Here's a very, very good one here. I should have Jim Burgess in here because he's kind of an AK aficionado. But those of you that have experiences with those Eastern Bloc style firearms, I'm getting closer to buying my first AK platform. While I'm leaning towards PSA G3 line, one always hears Century sells junk, get a Wasser. My question is, I see Century selling the Wasser 10. What gives? Am I missing something?
Century imports them. They don't. All they do is open up the mag wall, so they'll take the standard AK magazine. That's all they do to it.
Well, do they put in a different trigger and they have the 922R with a few parts, don't they?
Yeah, they got to get the 922, but they mostly do that with the furniture aspect of it. Each magazine counts as 2 parts. Then you got 2 parts for or 3 parts they put a pistol grip for the furniture. You hit your 5 parts right there. They really don't have to change the trigger, but they'll do it anyway. So yeah, that's it. And Century's trigger is actually not bad. They'll either use their trigger, which isn't bad, or they'll put a Tapco in there, which also isn't too bad. You know what you're doing, you can polish up both of those and make them actually pretty decent triggers out of them. Or you can just get yourself an ALG if they got them back out on the market yet, which are really good budget trigger for an AK. So yeah, that's what you can do with those. Or if you want the PSA, PSA just like I think Travis was saying earlier, they just put out their Generation 4 line of their AKs, which have been getting some really good press from SHOT Show. So you might want to check one of those out too. They're coming out with a whole bunch of AKs. They're going to be flooding the market with a bunch of different varieties and in different calibers. So the PSA would always be a good choice as well.
So with PSA, you're looking at about a $600 to $700 price point. With a Wasser, you're looking at around $7. Then if you want to go with a Zastava, you're probably looking around $8. And then those PSA Gen 4s, I just saw them on the PSA website. They're about $880, but they've got a FN barrel and they've got a true, legit forged trunnion. I mean, it's there. You're not going to have issues that you do with companies that make their AKs out of cast parts.
Yeah, and with the Gen 4, you get a choice. You either get an FN barrel, which is going to be the more costly one, or you can get that with their in-house barrel as well, which will be more around the $700 price range.
I mean, my money would be split between the PSA or the Wasser. I mean, the Wasser, you just hear that they're just the workhorse of the AK pattern world nowadays. I mean, that's nothing wrong with that. It'd be a good one to learn how to run an AK on. You got some spots for upgrades out there too, if you really want to, Yeah,
and Rod's over at AK Operators Union 4774. He's been raving about disaster stuff too that they've been bringing in. So that's been doing pretty well in his 5,000 round test that he does on them. So that's those are an option too.
The Wasser comes set up to mount a scope on out of the box. So that's something to consider if you're thinking about maybe putting an optic on it later. And my experience with my Wasser was that I had some problems with it. And I didn't shoot it right away. I kind of waited. But when I shot it, I took it out to the range twice and ran every kind of ammo I could find through it. And I had problems. It wasn't specific to one sort of ammo. It wasn't specific to one brand of magazine. I contacted Century. They sent me a UPS label. I put it in a box. I shipped it to them. They had it for a couple weeks. They sent it back with a report from the armorer, the work that he had done on it, and I took it back out to the range and once again tried running everything I could, every different kind of mag I had, every kind of ammunition I had through it, and it ran good, and it's ran good since. So it's just they only come with a 1-year warranty from the date you purchase it from the store. So I would recommend just testing it out, trying everything you can with it just to make sure it's all good to go. If it isn't, Century will take care of you, but only for the first year.
Yeah. When did you get yours originally? Just out of curiosity.
Bought it in the summer of 16. Was that The election was in 16, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was worried Hillary was going to get elected and went out and bought it because I didn't have an AK up to then, and I kind of really didn't want one. But I'm like, well, this is going to be a lot more expensive, so I got on the AK train late, and I probably had that thing for, I don't know, at least a month before I even took it down to the range. But I already had mags for it, and I already had a bunch of ammo. Even had reload dies for it, and I had some issues with it. They had to do something with the chamber. I can't remember what it is, but I do have a written report with your armor's notes on there. He signed off on it, everything else. So, but they covered the cost of everything, shipping there, shipping back. I had it shipped to my FFL, and my FFL did the transfer, didn't charge me a fee to do it because I had bought it there. But I told them, I said, I'd rather it just come here and me fill out the 4473 again. That way it's not getting delivered someplace where it's not supposed to. I mean, I don't know if they can legally drop it on your doorstep if it goes out to an armorer, but I wasn't going to take the chance. So the only courtesy my FFL did for me, they wouldn't ship it out for me. I had to ship it myself, but Century covered the cost. But my FFL said, we'll waive the transfer fee, and then they're really not good about that. They love making money off that transfer fee. We'll let you ship it to us as a courtesy to you, but we don't want to be involved in this warranty process. But otherwise, though, Century took care of me.
And then when you go for the Wassers, if you go the Wasser route, we have two options, right? You've got a model that's got the cleaning rod and the slant brake on the front. And then there's a model that does not have a brake. It's not threaded and does not come with a cleaning rod. So be careful which one specifically you buy, because I think that both of them are available at the same time. So get the one that has the threaded front barrel with the slant brake on it and also the cleaning rod.
And if you don't like that brake, there are other muzzle attachments. Yeah.
What's the difference between the two? Why do we want that one?
Oh, and then there's the bayonet lug also. If you want one that's a little more to the original design, having the option for the threading would open you up for suppressors down the road, changing out the brakes. You have the cleaning rod, and you also have the bayonet lug. There's no reason to not buy it, not depending on your state. So
sure,
certain compensators or muzzle brakes or whatnot will negate the use of the bayonet. But the original slant brake, which, by the way, that's an American-made slant brake on there. It's modeled after Romanian style, but that's actually 922R compliant. So, but yeah, it's really easy to take off and change if you decide you wanted to switch out to something different.
All right. We have got a few more questions here. I've got somebody that sent several different questions in, and I think they're all good ones. We'll get to these. I should have mentioned a long time ago, and I don't know why I didn't. If anybody out there in the chat while we're live here, if you have questions that you want us to cover, please drop us an email at sandhillsshooter@gmail.com, and I will just drop that right in the old chat there, so you've got it. That way you can get those read out here if we run into if we've got enough time here before we get through all the questions that we've already got. So make sure you submit those. If you're watching this on replay, go ahead and submit them anyway to sandhillsshooter@gmail.com. That way we can cover those on future installments of the Grumpy Old Men and Women 2 chats. So, all right. Next question is, why do you think there's a tilt in favoring firearms towards conservatives versus liberals on gun rights?
I think it's what it represents. Having a firearm to defend yourself means that you're responsible for yourself. It means you're controlling your own destiny. It means that you're not waiting for some system to take care of your defense for you. It also means that you're being proactive in the sense that the Second Amendment is about having the right to defend yourself against a tyrannical government. If one day that ever really truly happens and you've got to go do the unthinkable, it's there. And a conservative mindset is more likely to say, okay, that's a plausibility. A plausibility I hope never happens. Whereas a liberal mindset says, oh, that'll never happen. You're just silly. So I think it's just the mindset. One mindset embraces the Second Amendment. The Second Amendment enables that sort of mindset, whereas the other one just doesn't see it as anything important and doesn't see it as anything useful and doesn't appreciate the fact that we have that liberty here and almost nobody else around the world does.
I think that's a lot of it, and like you said, Squib, it's what it represents. For me, the tendency to want to own and keep and bear arms, and it's not just firearms; it's arms, right? But firearms specifically is because, again, it's my belief that because I'm alive, I have the right to keep myself that way. And if I have the right to keep myself that way, then I should have the right to keep myself that way by any means necessary. Now, I don't think anybody would ever argue with the fact that if I'm in a life and death struggle, I'm rolling around in the dirt with somebody who means to make me dead, that it doesn't really matter what I do. At that point, I'm fighting for my life. And if I'm not the aggressor, if they attacked me first, then it would be self-defense, whether I end up, beating them up and they succumb to, injuries and they die, or I find a rock or a board or a stick, anything like that. It doesn't matter at that point what I do. If I come out on top, then I'm not a murderer because it was self-defense and it was that person or me. Okay. So with all that being said, that means that I have the right to defend my life and keep myself alive by any means necessary that does not take rights away or walk on anybody else's rights. So I can't take somebody else's stuff. That's its own crime. But that means that nobody can tell me what I can or can't have to keep myself alive. Nobody can tell me what I do or don't need to keep myself alive. I have that right. It was given to me by my maker. It's protected by my Constitution, and nobody can take that away from me. And anybody that tries to is limiting my ability to do things my way, the way that I want to do them, and this country is not about that. That's just me.
I think that people of a certain mindset look at justifiable homicide and criminal homicide as the same thing, and they're not. And believe me, I don't know anybody in our community who really ever wants to have to employ deadly force. They're ready for it, and some people aren't afraid to do it. Other people, I think they talk the talk, but they won't walk the walk if it ever had to happen. Hopefully it never does. But nobody I know really wants to do that. And I think that the other side actually believes that we all wake up every morning hoping, today's the day. Today's the day I get a stateside kill. And it's like, no. Not even besides all of the fighting, this in court and getting arrested and being treated like, it's not all that. It's the living with it. Even though you're still alive for your family and the other person's a dirtbag who was trying to take away your, it still doesn't matter. It's something you got to live with. And it's just, there's all kinds of things that go with it. Nobody wants this. Nobody wants to take we'd rather see another person say, I'm going to turn my life around today, not I'm going to kill somebody today. But
absolutely, nobody in their right mind wants to take a life.
We can't control their destiny, just like we're not going to let them control ours.
Exactly right. And I also, on that same line of thinking, I believe that there should not be any restrictions on the tools that we use to keep ourselves alive. If these were used offensively, that's different. I don't think that we should take away any words. I don't think that we should take away any tools. Words can hurt and words can cause damage. And if you use your words irresponsibly, there are certain things that qualify as crimes and they are punishable. Tools can hurt and tools can cause damage. And if you use your tools irresponsibly, there are things that constitute a crime and they're punishable. But if I haven't broken any laws with my tools, then you have no reason whatsoever to take them away from me or tell me I can't have the tool.
Exactly, man.
That's just, I can't see it any other way than that. I can't any more plainly than that. Anybody else have anything they want to throw in on that one before we go to part 2 of 3?
Yeah, I was going to say, from the point of view of the political left, power. It's about their power. If they're wanting to institute socialism and a bunch of other stuff, if you listen to them when they're talk, and what's one of the main things that one of their biggest heroes, Chairman Mao, say, true power comes from the barrel of a gun. If they're the only ones that have the guns, they have all the power. They don't want an armed citizenry to be able to stand up against them when they go to institute these policies. That's one of the biggest fears that they have, is people being able to resist what they want to do. If you look historically, one of the first things that every country that started instituting socialism in some form or another did was disarm the populace.
Absolutely, because they cannot control people. Here's the issue. We're going to go down a rabbit hole just for a second here. When you bring in socialism, here's my thoughts exactly on this. Because socialism means that in its basest form, the way that I understand it, now people can correct me if I don't have this all the way right, but the way that I understand the system is in the basest form, there is no singular ownership. Everything is for the good of the collective. And so that means that, we will provide food, shelter, clothing, healthcare, all that kind of stuff, as long as everybody helps contribute. So that means that, we don't have one person massing all the wealth. We distribute it equally, which means that all of a sudden we're going to have, if we were to switch to socialism, all of a sudden, here's what would happen is you would no longer get paid more to do certain jobs that nobody wants to do, like pick up garbage or work in the sewers or any, nasty thing like that. And so that would mean that these jobs, all of a sudden, the only way that we can make them, the only way that we can get these jobs done is we start assigning them to people. And the only way that we can assign them to people and force them to do this job, we have to be able to control the people. We have to have some way to make sure that these things still get taken care of and people do jobs that they don't want to do. Now, in a capitalist society, if you've got a job that nobody wants to do, you've got to pay more to get that done, right? But in a socialist society, you run the risk of taking a bullet, or worse yet, watching your family take a bullet because you didn't listen. So everything devolves rather quickly when you realize the fact that all of a sudden you don't have any power, you don't have a voice, and if you don't do what you're told, you don't have any food or anything else, and it's very easy to starve somebody out when you blacklist them and tell them, even if you're not going to shoot them or their family, you can just say, well, the state controls the food, the health care, the clothing, the housing. You don't have any of this. Goodbye. And no matter what we do, we've got a whole bunch of all of a sudden grumpy people that have no recourse against their government to change it back to the way that it ought to be. Therefore, do not give up your weapons. Do not give up your firearms. There's no other way to make sure that doesn't happen here. Anyway, out of the rabbit hole.
Solid argument, man. I mean, you can't really, look at any other society that's disarmed the populace. You pretty much explained what's happened,
Well, exactly right. And think about it. If we go full socialism here, then we have to tell people that they're going to do some of these jobs that people don't want to do. So all of a sudden we've got people being forced labor, everything like that. Yeah. Socialism only works if everybody agrees that it's a good thing. There are different societies, even in the States. There are different colonies of people that make it work very well because, number one, it's all voluntary. They're not forced into that system. They can leave when they become adults. They don't have to stay there. Most of them choose to because they think it's the way to do it. But you don't see any of these colonies, whether they are Amish or Mennonite or any such colony. You don't see those getting very, very big, because then they start to implode and devolve like any other society does if it gets too big. And that's why the constitutional republic is I think, the best system for a nation with, over 300 million people. So
Yeah, you also don't see those communes walking into Czechoslovakia like the Soviets did and taking over the country and forcing it on them either.
sure, yeah, they say that, hey, we choose to do this, but again, it's a choice that everybody in that community has made. It's all voluntary. They choose to be that way, and those that don't like it get to leave. So nobody's forced into it, and that's why it works, because it's a choice. But if we go to a complete government of socialism, choice is the one thing that people don't have unless they're making the rules.
Yeah.
And very few.
If you want to look at something current, look what's going on over in China right now with the coronavirus. I was watching a video earlier tonight on this education channel. He was talking about journalists over in China who are reporting on the truth of what's going on with the coronavirus being thrown in jail because the government doesn't want it getting out what they're doing.
Yep.
What's going on over there.
Yep, you have no civil rights in those, and that's just it. And again, I don't remember who it was now. Somebody a little bit ago said that there are people in our country that don't realize how great we have it here because they've never been to other countries, and that's just it. We've got a whole lot of people, way too many people in our country that are underinformed, undereducated, and don't know how good they have it. They've never seen these things outside our own country. They don't understand what it's like to not be able to bash their government. It's just something as simple as that. Something like sharing a meme on social media, getting you locked up. And I'm not talking about communist China. I'm talking about Britain. So,
yeah, but some of those same people will start talking about some of the positive things about these countries overseas, not talk about any of the negative stuff. Say, we need to adopt this, we need to adopt that, we need to do it like they do it over here, we need to do it like they do it. Yeah. And it's like, do you not realize all the other things that come with that? Do you have any idea what you're implying?
Nothing is free, whether it costs money or it costs your freedom. Nothing's free. Freedom is not free.
Yeah.
Hey, John.
Yeah.
I was just going to say thanks for the invite. Hey, brother. You guys hit Squib exactly. Nothing's free. My buddy that I've known since the 5th grade, biggest pro 2A guy, we're brother 2A, his daughter in the Trump election, she was going to college and she's like, well, I'm thinking about voting for Bernie because free this and free that. And me and John, my brother, look at each other like, do you realize free isn't free? Well, I don't care. I'm like, maybe you should. Maybe you should
let you go. Good luck.
The point is nothing's free. And just because you think, oh, the government's giving it to me. Yeah. And you're going to pay 3 times as much in taxes. And you know what I mean? It's like, Bernie. Yeah. Okay.
But again, he's being disingenuous. Bernie is, and everybody that is, basically everybody that has been on those Democrat debate stages, they've all been disingenuous in the fact that they're telling you, well, we're going to tax the super rich. We're not going to tax you little people. We're going to raise property taxes for the super rich people, or raise income taxes for the super rich people. And the meme's been floating around social media here lately that says, I voted to raise property taxes on the rich. Why did my rent go up? Well, again, nothing's free, and nobody at the top is going to actually pay those cost increases. Everything trickles down. That's why we don't want a $15 minimum wage in this country, because then milk will cost $8 a gallon. But people don't understand that.
Yeah, and somebody brought up the British healthcare system. You realize that people in England, there was one guy in particular who was at he was at a wedding or a birthday party or something, and they were doing the cheer, the toast to the whoever was the person who was being honored there, whether it was the wedding or the birthday, I don't remember which one it was. He took a sip of beer, and they took him off the list for a liver transplant.
Yeah, if anybody wants to know how Medicare for all is really going to work, talk to a veteran who deals exclusively with the VA for benefits and see how long they have to wait to get things done that aren't life-threatening, and see if they can go to whatever. Now, I know that we've been recently, there have been some changes made to where vets can go to, like, I think, right, vets can pick their own doctors now somewhat. But for the most part, if Uncle Sam's footing the bill, then you do it on his time, his way, when he says. It's, from what I understand, it's really not that much different than being in the Army or being in the military. You still have to do what he says when he says to do it.
I had some friends that immigrated from England, and they said that they had to pay like 52% income taxes over there, but they got all the free health care they wanted. But something like an MRI, you were on a 6-month waiting list.
Uh-huh.
We also had a regular truck driver that came over from Ontario, Canada. We requested him by name because he's a pretty good guy, you know, really, really professional and all that other stuff. And he immigrated to Ontario, Canada, from the Middle East. So he brought his whole family over from the Middle East. And I said, why did you go to Canada and not America? And he said, they have free health care. You don't. And he said, that's why there's such a high Middle Eastern population in the province of Ontario, because all these people immigrated to Canada to take advantage of the free government health care. So you will have people come in there. Once you make it free, you have people come in and drain the system down and make it harder on the people who are already there paying into it. So it's not what it's cracked up to be.
Not only that, but my biggest fear with that topic is the same people that are championing free healthcare or healthcare for everybody, Medicare for all. These are the same people that are championing open borders and illegal immigrants getting these same benefits. So all of a sudden, we're going to say, hey, everybody in this country, whether you live here or not, whether you belong here or not, the government's going to pay for all your medical expenses. That alone will bankrupt this country faster than anything.
Isn't that just a big magnet? Think about that. What you just said. That's just a big magnet for everybody come here. What Squib was saying about the guy in Canada. Well, free this, free that. But he also said that they're paying X amount in income tax. But like you said, John, isn't that a big magnet? We're gonna sanctuary, pay for this, pay for that. And really, it's gonna bankrupt the company or the.
I have a very good friend whose sister recently got married to a Canadian citizen, and she and her 2 kids actually have they've moved now. They're just outside Ottawa. But she's in the process of I'm not even sure if she's getting citizenship, but they had a very extensive interviews themselves, his family, her family. They all had to be interviewed by the Canadian government to make sure that this isn't some sort of marriage of convenience, that they really are in love. They really are wanting to be married to each other, and he's not just using this to get her into the country. And then she's not able to work and earn any money for the first 6 months that she's there. I don't know how long it is before she can draw any kind of benefits, but the process to move into Canada, it's not just as easy as, showing your passport and driving, across a bridge. Or driving across a border. I mean, if you're going to live there, they want to know who you are, why you're moving there, what you're doing, and they really are going to dig through all of your history to see if you're telling the truth on this. I don't know what the process is like, honestly, to immigrate to the U.S., but I do know that Canada does not just let everybody come there. So even if there is an influx of people from the if there's an influx of people from the Middle East going into Ontario, rest assured that those people have all been thoroughly vetted. And if they cannot be contributing to society, they're not going to get that free health care either.
I think it was that they used to let so many people in and they became overwhelmed that they decided they had to start doing something like, I don't know, controlling their borders. But the same kind of people that will complain about this country will say we're bad because we control our borders. Other countries do too. Look at these countries over in Europe that that opened up their borders and then they started having issues and they go, whoa, we got to put a hold on this. I mean, there's some stuff sounds like a great, noble idea at first, but you really got to think these things through before you take on something drastic.
Also, real quick, up in Canada, they've also got additional sales tax on everything you buy. You got regular city sales tax, plus they have a healthcare sales tax too. What, 6 or 7 cents on the dollar? I could be wrong. You can correct me on that, but you got 2 sales tax on everything you buy, and I think it even included things like candy and soda and stuff like that. So, yeah.
And again, you do get that healthcare, but you don't get other things that I consider essential, like free speech. I know it was Canada. I can't tell you exactly where, but there was a dad who got imprisoned for mispronouncing his child because the son wanted to be called a daughter or vice versa. I don't remember the exact details, but dad refused to go along with this and said him when the kid wanted to be her, or said her when the kid wanted to be him. And actually got locked up for that, because you don't get freedom of speech. You don't get freedom to keep and bear arms. You don't get hardly any of the rights that American citizens take for granted. There are people in America marching to do away with the rights that the people in Hong Kong are protesting to gain.
Guess we're all moving to Hong Kong.
Yeah.
Maybe we ought to just, I can't even say that. Okay, I almost said, this is completely tongue-in-cheek for the record, but I almost said maybe we ought to just load up those PMags and go to Hong Kong. But I in no way whatsoever mean to incite violence or endorse violence.
Ladies and gentlemen, the views and opinions expressed by Sandhills Shooter, the views and opinions of Sandhills Shooter and Sandhills Shooter only, and do not reflect the views and opinions of anybody else on the panel.
Right, and that goes for everybody in here.
Mm-hmm.
And all you need to know about the Canadian healthcare system is that they have charities set up in Canada to help people to get to the United States for cancer treatment.
Yep. Okay, next question. Why do we let the stereotypes of gun owners being white, dressed in hunting or tactical gear, remain, quote unquote, our image when it's used to mock and belittle us? Now, I'm going to start with that one because I think after the recent rally in Richmond, I think that we are not letting that be our image. I think that was the image that the left tried to project onto us, and there were so many people that did not fit that image, that were not male, that were not white, that were not even straight, that were marching or rallying there to support the 2A rights. So I think that was a huge shot in the arm to getting past that stereotypical, middle-aged or older white guy in, camouflage or in, some mil-spec outfit. Yeah, that was there, but there were so many people that did not fit that description that were there. I think that the more we have these rallies and the more that we highlight the diversity within the rallies, within our community, I think our community grows, and I think that knowledge and understanding grows with it.
I just want to give props to the guy that carried the Barrett, M82 around. My God, what is that, like a 25-pound gun?
Now, when we have our Nebraska rally, I see stands out there from SS Pawn. The guy that carried around the Barrett was a gun store owner. And that's pretty darn good advertisement for his store. The fact that his image and his face was shown everywhere. And then it comes out that he and his wife own a gun store. So, Stan, when we have our rally, I'm just saying we're going to need you. And we're going to need you to step it up and lug around a Barrett so that we can get you some pretty cheap advertising too.
I got the SS Pawn t-shirt. I'm the cheapest advertiser out there. I'll carry anything.
I've heard that.
If I can get Walter from Safety Harbor Firearms or Tyven to lend me his 50, I'll carry around a SHTF 50. Oh God, I don't want to do that. That thing's so heavy.
Yeah,
I
it's for a cause, brother. It's for a cause.
I go to the rallies. I go to the rallies dressed in my regular clothes, or maybe wear somebody's, logo stuff from their channel or something like that. But I've been thinking that on one of these occasions, I want to go to a rally in a suit and tie, but I still want my AR-15 over my shoulder.
Yeah, Solo Yacker does that down in Florida.
Not a bad idea.
I was just going to say that's an awesome visual. Think about it. The guy suit and tie, but I'm still 2A, and make sure you have a sidearm and have that thing strapped. Well, what image is that going to put? You know what I mean?
What would happen if we had guys like shoot, I just drew a blank on the
Rob Pincus is a pretty snazzy.
Rob Pincus usually wears a suit. So does Eric Pratt. Is it Eric Pratt from GOA? Is that his name?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Just imagine Rob Pincus, Eric Pratt, speaking on a podium at rallies in their suit and tie, with a sidearm and a rifle slung over their shoulder. That'd be cool.
You mentioned the Richmond rally. The video clip that sticks in my head is the reporter talking about how there's all these white racists and white nationalists at the Richmond rally, and the cameraman hands, and there's three or four guys standing behind the reporter with pro-gun signs. 3 or 4 black guys standing there with pro-gun signs.
Yeah, worst white supremacist rally ever.
Yeah. Hey, we're talking about carrying a 50. Okay, just let's look at this scenario. What's the standard carry for the military for a 223 5.56? 220 rounds. Carry 220 rounds of 50 BMG on you, and tell me how much that weighs.
Yeah, no kidding. Okay, next question. This will probably be our last one before we wrap things up. We've got some others that we're not going to get to tonight, so we'll definitely have to do this again in future installments. So probably the first chat of the month, we'll just make that the question and answer, the advice chat. Last question here. What is the one firearm fundamental skill you think makes the most difference in pistol marksmanship? Grip, trigger press, sight alignment. The question is not only which one do you think makes the most difference, but why? And which one's the hardest to get right? And it might be something else. It could be stance. It could be, maybe something that's not listed here. But as far as the fundamentals go, what's the thing that makes the most difference and the hardest?
For number one, I'd have to say trigger press, because if you push or pull, that shot's going to be off 1 or 2 inches, which is going to be amplified as you go further out distance wise. I think combination of trigger press and grip. I think that's where it all comes down to.
It's a combination of all of the above. Any one of those things, if you're off, can affect your shot. Another one that wasn't listed is keeping both your eyes open. How many times have seen somebody new go out there with their gun and they pull the trigger and they're jerking their eyes and they close their eyes? Keep your eyes open and maintain proper grip, proper trigger pull, all that. All the above.
I couldn't agree more. Rich, you hit it right. I see a lot of people go out there and they shoot and they they're flinching their eyes, let alone their hands. All of the above. I mean, proper grip to me is, I've seen a lot of shooters that I show them the thumbs forward, better grip, better stance, and they improve. So yeah, it's a combination of all of it. God, it's hard to pinpoint one thing. It's one of those things you got to go out and practice all of the disciplines. You know what I mean? So.
Yeah, this question actually came from somebody who I know is an instructor, and I think if this person were on the panel, they would probably say the same thing. I think they just wanted to know what the rest of us would say. But I agree, and the analogy that I often use for such a thing is when you're driving a car, you have to be good at checking your mirrors. You have to be good at watching other drivers. You have to be good at steering and potentially shifting. You have to be good at running your blinker. You have to be good at not only accelerating, but braking smoothly on both. And if you're good at only one of those things, you're going to crash. You've got to be good at all of them together. You've got to practice all of them at the same time. So the thing is, in my opinion, yeah, they're all equally important. The grip is important because if you limp wrist it, if it's an automatic, it's not going to cycle correctly. Potentially, you're also not going to get accuracy then either. Trigger press, the same thing. Sight alignment is key, not only to know how to align sights, but also to know how to align your individual firearms sights, because they're not all sighted the same. Sometimes you've got the 6 o'clock hold with your front sight post. Sometimes, you've got to go with bury the target behind the dots. It just depends on how that pistol is set up, and maybe you need to change out the front sight to a different height, to change your point of impact. All of that is going to be equally important. If you slack on any one of those things, then you don't hit where you're aiming, and that's not good. That's my opinion on all that. So, all right, we are going to wrap it up with that. Like I said, the other questions we will keep those for next month. So hopefully everybody will come back and join us. The serious questions are great. I really like the fun ones. So again, if you're not sure what I'm talking about, you can do a Google search on this, but you can find Jeff Dunham. It's from the Arguing with Myself special, is the one that I think the most people have seen, where just the whole segment with Walter. But at the end of the segment, they're doing Q&A with Walter. The answers are hilarious, and I really want these grumpy old men chats to be fairly lighthearted. We'll get into some serious stuff, but the lighthearted, I think, is going to be a great change, because the other weeks, we'll get into maybe some heavy stuff from time to time. So moving forward, we definitely want to see the lighthearted stuff come through too. Next week, as long as everything works right, we're going to have another special guest. We should anyway. I think we're gonna get her on here, but we've got Erin Paulette, founder of Operation Blazing Sword, and involved with Pink Pistols. So she will be on our chat next week. And what is the date next week? 7 days from the 4th. Must be the 11th. February 11th, 2020. Make sure you tune in to see Erin Paulette. And if you want to learn anything about Operation Blazing Sword or Pink Pistols, these are organizations that bring the LGBTQ. I lose track of the initials, and I'm not meaning to be insensitive, but I can't keep track, honestly. But the people that are not completely cisgendered, heterosexual males like myself still have the same rights that the rest of us do. And they don't get oppressed nearly as much when they can fight back. It's a great equalizer, owning a firearm, isn't it? So we're going to learn a little bit more about those organizations from Erin next week. Make sure you tune into that. Again, if you want to help support us, we will never turn that away. Excuse me a second. My voice is about to go. All right. If you want to help support us, go to patreon.com/sandhillsshooter and check us out over there. That is the best way to do that. If we can build up our Patreon support, we are going to have a few monthly giveaways, but we've still got the Echo Dot. We have not given that away yet because I don't have enough support yet to justify keeping cool prizes like that going. So that's going to be coming here sometime soon. We'll let everybody go through and say goodnight. Duke Liberty had to go be a dad, so he had to leave us here a while ago. So we want to thank Duke Liberty for being on the chat. Go look up his channel. He's got some cool stuff out there. The first video he ever posted was about making a Franken Glock, where he swapped the slides between a Glock 19X and a Glock 45. Slides and magazines, swapped those around, and I would never believe that was the first video he'd ever made if I didn't know it. It's better than most of the things that I do after a couple years of doing this. So go check out Duke Liberty. He's going to be awesome as a video producer. We also lost budget guns and gear review. because he had to go do some family stuff, I think. So thanks to both of those fellas for being here. We'll just go back down the line here. Double A, you were in here last, so we will let you go first to sign off and say goodnight.
Well, I'll start with my classic line, peace to all, stay 2A strong. Hashtag. Everybody hashtag 2A strong. Capital letters, 2A strong. Other than that, yeah, it's good being here. Thanks for the invite. Always good. Came in late. You know something, guys? We look around at all the crap that's going on, and it's like, how deep is this going to go? You know what I mean? So, I'm just happy that all of my friends here and everywhere else are paying attention to what's going on and are starting to stand up and go, I don't think so. Other than that, check us out, YouTube, Gunstreamer. That's about it. Thanks, Sam.
Thanks for being here. All right. Mr. Gizzard Gary, we will let you go next.
Hey, thanks for the invite. Check out my stuff. I may have a video coming out tomorrow. Definitely going to have a show coming on Friday night, Foul Territory, 9 Eastern, 8 Central. Be there. And thanks for everything. Give him the bird.
Give him the bird. All right. Next up on the list, we've got Obnoxious One.
Can I go full on grumpy and address the issue out in the chat?
What issue out in the chat? Let's hear it.
The video that is going around that the police are going after a red flag whistleblower.
Okay.
Can I go full on grumpy on that?
Yeah, what up?
She perjured herself to go after the cop who shot her son, who suicided by cop. She went in and filed an ERPO on him, claiming that she had a child with him to get him red flagged so his guns would be taken away. Stop sharing crap like that. That does not help our cause. Whiskey Warrior and her are not the hill to die on.
Yeah.
So
no
people
kidding.
just stop.
Yep, I would agree with that.
And thank you for having me. Check out my
Yeah.
channel. Check out my Instagram. And I'll probably still be grumpy about this.
Orange
Yeah,
Man.
Just look for the orange one. You'll find
Orange
it.
Man Obnoxious. All right. Rich.
I'm glad.
Rich White this week unloaded.
Yeah, we're not going to have a show this week because I'm not going to be home. Going to be in Harrisburg or on the way back from Harrisburg, 1 and 2. So there will be no This Week Unloaded this week for a second week in a row. Sorry, folks, but last weekend was Super Bowl. My son decided he was going to have a Super Bowl party, so we couldn't do it then. So we couldn't do it this week as trying to do a having the Super Bowl on with a bunch of late teens, early 20s in the room at the same time. Just that wouldn't, that wouldn't work. So we're not able to do a show this past weekend, and like I said, we're going to the Great American Outdoor Show this weekend coming up. I might have some pictures or maybe some video clips from there for the channel. I don't know yet, but keep an eye on maybe on Instagram or over on the Unloaded Media channel for that. Right now, what I do have over on Unloaded Media channel is my Pop-Tart video that I did for as a response to Squib's Pop-Tart video about the zombie apocalypse Pop-Tart. So if you want to go over there and check that out. And Obnoxious is right. Quit acting like this woman is some kind of crusader for gun rights. She's not. It was a pure vengeance move. She got busted. She got what she deserved.
All righty. Travis P11.
Yeah, man. I appreciate the invite. Always had a lot of fun. Always have a lot of fun coming here. You got a lot of great topics, great discussions. I think we can learn a lot from these episodes. So thank you. Subscribe to everybody on this panel and check out my channel, Travis P11. Otherwise, I got a little podcast I do on Monday nights called Caliber Corner at 6 o'clock Central Time. Got different topics every week, so make sure you check it out. That's it, man. Thank you.
You bet. Squibload, he's here sometimes just to be the counterpoint to my point and to keep me honest. He's a nice guy once you get to know him, which is code for he's an a-hole, but you'll get used to it.
Yeah, you'll either get used to it or you'll just stop talking to me. Yeah, I got home from work and fired up the desktop and went to your channel here on YouTube. I'm still watching the Dr. Squatch commercial. I mean, they make good soap and good commercials, so I'm not going to knock that. But at least your advertiser is something that I actually buy.
Well, that's cool.
Check the mail here. My new NRA membership card came in. Yay!
Right on.
Yeah, thanks for having me. It's a good show tonight.
Thanks for being here. All righty. And out there in the chat world, we had a pretty good list of people joining us tonight. So thank you very much to all of you who did make comments so we could see you and converse with you. Again, I normally don't do a lot of typing because I'm busy talking and I can't multitask. However, the best part of me is over there holding it down in the chat. So this is a cooperative effort. We had out there Calaveras 32 Special, Justin Gibbons joining us, Guitar Man Pete, Rich White, Jay Brown, Obnoxious One, 10X Shooters, Boob Sweat Leads to Pearl Necklaces, New York Outcast, Mike, George Washington, The Gun Snob, Travis P11, Duke Liberty, Grim 90, Hill Climb Ohio JB, Budget Guns and Gear Reviews, SS Pawn, Fine Ape was in the house, Mystic Guns, Clint Taurus, best screen name ever. He's really hard to find sometimes. Seven Wonders, Blue Steel 44, Patriot in the Dark, Travis T, Idaho Rogers USMC, Blitz, Keith Gregory, Tim Foley, Jason Stewart, Kinky Sphincter, Armament and Axes, 9 Millimia, Guy That Comments, Agorizer, C4 Defense, Dangerous Freedom, Rich White is on here twice because I guess you're just cool, and Vash Matrix. So again, thank you to all of you who showed up for the chat. Thank you to all of you who are catching this on the replay. If you couldn't make it live, we leave these up here so you can find them down the road. And if you liked it, please share it. If you don't want to support us financially, the best support that we can get is just getting us out in front of your friends. So hit that share button, and you can copy the link to this. You can send it in a text message, an email, put it up on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, or any of those things. There's no limit to what you can do if you can get a hold of the link for the podcast tonight. So share it everywhere. Hit the thumbs up button. Let YouTube know that that you do care about us, so that they know that you don't want us going away. If you want to throw money our way, Patreon's the best way to do it, but we in no way expect such a thing. But like I said, the money that we get, it doesn't go to our pocket or pay our bills. It goes back into making these chats and these videos hopefully better and better all the time. So with that, I want to thank our panel of grumpy old men. We didn't have any grumpy old women, but maybe moving forward, we'll get a few ladies in the panel as well for these chats. Would be great to have a little female perspective as well. On behalf of Duke Liberty, Budget Guns and Gear, Squibload, Armament and Axes, Gizzard Gary, Obnoxious One, Unloaded Media, Travis P11, Sandhills Sweetheart, and myself, thank you for joining us. We love you. This channel is nothing without you. Get off my lawn.